You know exactly what you need to do to change your life. The problem isn't knowledge, it's not even motivation. The problem is that the moment you get close to actually doing it, something inside you pulls the rug out from under yourself. And you're not sure if it's fear or laziness or just who you are. This is self-sabotage. And it's not an accident, it's not a character flaw, it's a mechanism. And once you understand the mechanism, you can stop being its puppet. Most people spend years telling themselves the story that they're their own worst enemy. They're right, but not in the way they think. You're not an enemy to yourself. You're protecting yourself from something your conscious mind hasn't even named yet. Here's what this video's going to do. It's going to show you exactly what you're actually protecting yourself from, why it feels so necessary to sabotage your own progress, and what has to happen inside you before you can actually stop. Self-sabotage isn't random, it's learned. Somewhere early, you learned that being visible, successful, or standing out came with a cost. Maybe that cost was attention you didn't want. Maybe it was envy from people around you. Maybe it was the pressure of having to maintain that version of yourself, the successful one, forever. Or maybe the lesson was simpler. People who get what they want lose something else. Carl Jung had a concept he called the complex, a cluster of beliefs and emotions that form around a core fear, operating almost entirely outside of conscious awareness. You develop a self-sabotage complex the same way you develop any complex, through repetition, through observation, through learning. A kid watches their parent succeed and then watch that parent get destroyed by the pressure. A kid sees someone get mocked for trying and failing. A kid realizes that the moment they do well at something, the expectations rise and suddenly they're trapped trying to meet an impossible standard. So they learn, unconsciously. Being successful means being trapped. And now, as an adult, that learning is still running in the background. Every time you approach real success, your psyche activates that old lesson. It sabotages you, pulls you back, and it feels like self-preservation. Because from the nervous system's perspective, it is. You're being protected from a danger that stopped being real decades ago. The problem with protection mechanisms is that they work both ways. They protect you from the thing you're afraid of, but they also imprison you in the opposite direction. Every time you sabotage yourself, you're not just avoiding success. You're confirming the belief that you don't deserve it, that you can't have it, that something about you is fundamentally wrong. And your psyche takes that confirmation seriously. It builds on it. The next time opportunity comes, the sabotage is a little more automatic, a little more convincing. Think about how much energy you've spent on self-sabotage. Not the energy of the sabotage itself, the hidden energy underneath it, the constant vigilance required to keep yourself small, the elaborate justifications required to explain why you don't have what you actually want. You're not lazy, you're exhausted. Schopenhauer believed that most suffering comes from the will, the unconscious life force inside us, chasing things it thinks will bring safety, without ever stopping to question whether they actually will. Your will learned to pursue smallness because it thought smallness was safe. And now, you're living inside a prison you built yourself, and you've convinced yourself the prison is protection. The worst part isn't the lack of achievement, it's the constant gnawing knowledge that you could be doing better, having more, being more, and watching yourself throw it away over and over. That gap between potential and reality, that's where shame lives. That's where the narrative "I'm broken" gets written. If you're feeling something heavy from this part, this next section is where it gets harder to sit with. So if you want to stay with this, go ahead and hit subscribe now, because we're about to talk about exactly what you're actually afraid of, and most people don't want to look at that. Self-sabotage isn't really about the success, it's about what success would require you to become, because here's the thing about getting what you actually want. It changes you. It changes how people see you. It changes your responsibility. It changes the version of yourself you have to maintain. And some part of you looked at that cost and said, no, not worth it. But you never said it consciously. You just sabotaged. Jung believed that the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge don't disappear. They become the shadow, and they run our lives from underneath. The part of you that's terrified of visibility, of responsibility, of being seen, of having to maintain success, that part didn't go away when you learned to ignore it. It just learned to sabotage you quietly. And here's the cruelest part. The more you sabotage, the more you confirm that you're not capable, that you can't have what you want, that the fear was justified. You're building evidence against yourself. Your psyche looks at every sabotage and says, see, you're not ready. You're not good enough. The fear was right, but the fear wasn't ever about your ability. It was about the cost of being fully visible, fully capable, fully yourself. That's what you're actually protecting against, not failure, success. So how do you stop? Not by white-knuckling it, not by trying harder, not by building more discipline. Those all miss the point. You can't discipline your way past a fear your conscious mind doesn't even know it's carrying. You stop by turning around and looking directly at the thing you've been running from, not the sabotage, the fear underneath it. Ask yourself honestly, if I actually succeeded at this, what would have to be true about me? What would I have to become? Who would I have to be? And more importantly, what would I lose? Write it down. The real answer, not the polite one. Maybe you'd lose your identity as the underdog. Maybe you'd lose the sympathy and support people give you when you're struggling. Maybe you'd lose the ability to blame circumstances instead of taking responsibility. Maybe you'd have to admit that you were capable all along and you just chose not to. That last one is the one most people never say out loud, because saying it means you can't pretend anymore. You can't pretend you're trapped. You can't pretend you're helpless. You have to own the choice. Jung believed that consciousness is the price of freedom. The moment you see clearly what you're doing and why, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to blaming sabotage on something outside yourself. And that clarity, that responsibility, that's when actual change becomes possible. What happens when you stop sabotaging yourself is not what most people expect. It's not suddenly winning. It's not suddenly becoming fearless. It's quieter than that. It's the moment you realize you're no longer spending half your energy on self-destruction. It's the strange lightness of not having to maintain the fiction that you're trapped. The people around you will react strangely. Some will be genuinely happy. Some will be uncomfortable because your success disrupts the dynamic you had with them, the one where you were struggling and they could help or judge from a distance. That's information. Pay attention to it. But the biggest change is internal. You'll notice that you stop explaining away your failures, not because you've stopped failing, you haven't, but because you're no longer failing and then sabotaging on top of the failure. You're just failing and learning and moving forward. There's a directness to it that wasn't there before, and the success, when it comes, won't feel like an accident. It won't feel like something that happened to you. It will feel like something you chose because it is. You didn't get here by accident. You sabotaged yourself for a reason. That reason made sense once, but you're not that person anymore. You know better. You see more clearly what the cost actually is and what the cost of not moving forward actually is. If this landed, type "I'm done sabotaging" in the comments. Not as a promise to yourself, as a statement, just to mark that you heard this and it mattered. And this isn't the end of this conversation. The next video picks up exactly where this leaves off, because stopping the sabotage is one thing, living without it is another. So stay close.